Hi, I'm Sabrina Brown, founder and CEO of Girlfriends Tea, where we offer magnificent luxury tea with your enjoyment in mind. Girlfriends Tea ranks within the top 5% globally of luxury teas. You can visit us at girlfriendstea.com and click on Shop Now, where you receive delicious flavors such as Uniquely Golden, Unapologetically Berry, The Other Bourbon, and the ever-popular Belle of the Ball. Because ladies, we are all the belle of the ball. I invite you to try a sample pack if you're visiting for the first time so that you can try all of the flavors. Thank you for joining me for a cup of tea. Everyone, welcome to another episode of Girlfriends Tea. And you know we're always bringing women and men who are subject matter experts in their field. And I can say that I am ecstatic to have with us a guest who is fashionable in her own right, and she's a creative curator. So I'm going to bring in none other than Tori Soudan. Hi, Tori.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing fabulous, and I'm just so happy to be meeting you this way. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to have you on Girlfriends Tea.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And we have a couple of girlfriends who wanted to be here for your interview to greet you. So we have your namesake, Tori Jones, who is a fashion designer. And I'm going to bring in Jessica Williams, who is into finance. She's a finance consultant and a merchant marine. You go, Jessica. So I want to thank you all as I welcome Tori officially. So y'all know what we do, girlfriends. Thank you for joining us, Tori, for a cup of tea. So the girlfriends, y'all can say hello if you want. It's okay.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So glad to be here. Nice to meet you, Tori.
Nice to meet you also, Tori. And
Yes.
Jessica.
Okay, can I jump right in? I have to ask her, are you a Tori or a Victoria?
I am a Tori.
Yes, me too. Just
yes.
Tori.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful.
Well, we're always warm and welcoming here at Girlfriends Tea. So we're going to bring the girlfriends back because they're going to either have a question for you or a comment at the end of the interview, but they're here to cheer you on because that's what we do. We support one another. So the girlfriends will be back at the end of the interview. So Tori, I want to share something about you with the audience. Mm-hmm. You graduated from Spelman College, studied design at the famed Parsons School of Design in New York, and interned with American sportswear designer Tommy Hilfiger. Now, I have some Tommy Hilfiger. You were ready to give women what you knew they deserved. So thank you for that. The most superlative shoes imaginable. And in 2011, you debuted your first collection. So how did it feel debuting your first collection?
Oh my goodness, Sabrina, it was just amazing. You know, when you take something that is authentically creative, you know, that I believe it comes from God. I feel that there's a connection between creativity and just, you know, there's a spiritual connection there, an authentic creative design. And so to receive those, you know, creative styles, and then to in turn see them be created by my factory. I mean, it was just amazing to see. The first time I opened the box, I was just like, you know, this is really real. This is happening, you know? So yeah, it's a dream come true. It really is.
And I'm happy for you because I've never met anyone on the level that you're on. But just to get into your background, you grew up in Stratford, Connecticut. At what age did you develop a love for fashion, and what were you most interested in designing? Because I love hearing these backstories.
Right, right. Well, I come from a family of creative people. Creativity was always around me from my father, who was a photographer and always had me taking these black and white photos and, giving me an appreciation for composition, which I also use in my design process, to my mother, who is a certified tailor, who she had the thought that all women needed to know how to sew. She was from the South and she was just a little bit traditional about what women needed to know how to do. And so my sister and I had to learn how to sew. And
Yes.
every Easter we would say, "Ma, we have a new dress?" And one Easter she changed it up and said, "Okay, you have to make it." And that's where it started. And I didn't even know that I would love to sew and fashion and all these things, but I just really connected with it. Just the challenge of being able to realize a vision and in the form of a dress or a skirt or a shirt, that to me just kept me focused and it kept me so interested in doing that. So it did start with clothes. I eventually did gowns. But I love to create everything. It just started with clothing. So it's just a blessing to be able to live in a space where I'm just truly in touch with my passion every day. Every single day I get to wake up and do exactly what I love to do.
And there are very few people that can say that. So I am very happy for you. Some of us have to work like I did. I mean, I love my job with the
Mhm.
government, had to work at, getting a living going. But now I'm pursuing my passion, which is here interviewing
Right.
you and other delightful guests. Before I ask you the next question, I do want to say that I tend to have an eye, even though I may not wear those pieces. I love the classic pieces. They're timeless, nothing like
Mhm.
the classic handbag. I know you make handbags, the classic shoe, but with a little flair, to keep it
Right.
different, and the
Mhm.
classic attire. But you are a dimensions designer. So, what are your favorite? Well, first of all, define that for me. And what are your favorite elements in creating your designs?
Right. Well, first what I had to do is, the process of me becoming a designer and really just starting to own my creative perspective to me was a process initially at first before I even started to design. And what I mean by that is, at first I was afraid, like, I have this design, will people like it? What is my perspective? What do I have to say creatively? And will it be, appreciated? So, I went through that and just learn to let the voice just flow, right? And so in terms of dimension for me, I really love to combine different elements together within a style, like a reflective element, a matte element, a print versus a solid. What I like to do and what my strategy is to sort of guide the eye to focus on certain things within the design.
Mm.
I really love that. There's certain colors that come forward in a design, and there are other colors that recede. And then there's certain patterns that, give you a certain mood. And I really like to play on how people would respond visually to the design. And I believe I got that from my father's training in photography with black and white photos. What really stands out are the patterns and how the shadows fall and what's reflective and what's not. And it gives you an appreciation to just the certain elements of the photo that you don't see if it's in color. If it's in color, you can be distracted by different things. But, I really focus on the patterns and the flow of the design.
Well, when I saw your website, first of all, I want to publicly thank our sponsor, Ivy Hill Technologies at ivyhilltech.com, aviheeltech.com. They help you with your staffing needs, your HR staffing needs, and they're also an IT company. So thank you, Avi Hill. I also want to thank Coretta O'Neill Teller. I want to thank her because that's how I got to know you. She was telling me about you, but I tell you this, Tori, it wasn't until I went to your website. I was like, the sister is bad. She's got skills. I mean, I really love it. So I just want to show the audience, first of all, your website, torisoudan.com. So you have to visit there and just be treated to the scenery of her designs. But I just copied or pasted a few in a presentation. So I'm going to show those to the audience so that they can see your designs. Love those shoes, but this is where I'm starting. So look at beautiful Tori. You're beautiful yourself, and holding that beautiful boot that is, I can't even get now. You know, you're out of those boots, but everybody's falling in love with your boots and the handbags. I love the green. I love the black. I love the colors. I love the way you set up. I like the way you stage your items.
Thank
And the
you.
pumps, I still wear heels. Pumps are my thing. My chiropractor told me, you're going to keep me in business. And I said, I'm happy to. I'm
Right.
happy to keep you in
There's
business
some things you
because
just can't do without, right?
you can't do without it. I have on heels now. I'll pull up my feet
Mhm.
because I want to feel like I'm working. It's important to
Right.
me because it just, like you said, what we wear, what we evoke, you know, if it's what we feel good in, it makes a difference. It makes a huge
It
difference.
it really does. And I think a lot of times, fashion, it's the effect of it can be so, subtle that, people don't realize how important it is. It's very important to show up visually in a certain way. It helps us feel a certain way when we walk in the room, to walk in the room with some great shoes on, a statement piece or classic piece, something that's really comfortable, and it gives us that just extra, energy that we need to get through our day and to be the leaders that we are, or whatever profession that we're in. It just really helps us. And I always say to people, Superwoman has a uniform,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so should we, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
And I love what you said about that, just that one piece. Sometimes it's just that one little piece, that one pop. But your brand evokes timeless sophistication and sexy, fearless style. So I'm gonna give a pom pom on that. You go, girl. Because you know
Thank you.
we're cheerleaders here at Girlfriends Tea. But
Mhm.
shoes, handbags, and belts are handmade in Italy, yours
Mhm.
by master artisans. So take us into the world of your initial search for master artisans. I know when you went, you shared an introduction that you shared your dream, but what was or is the epitome of excellence for manufacturing the Tori Soudan brand?
Right. Well, I spent a lot of time there before I launched my brand. I actually started this research and development in 2009.
Mm.
And during that time, I used to go back and forth to Italy, and I just became a student of shoe design. I wanted to know everything from what are the differences in the kinds of leather? Why are some shoes more expensive than others? And what justifies that? Is there really a difference in the level of quality? And first of all, I found out that the answer was a resounding yes. There is a huge difference. And, just understanding the different grades of leather. Some leather, for example, is, a lower quality. It's actually like ground up leather that's repasted back together, and there's a sheet of plastic put on top. I mean, that is
Mm.
actually also called leather. And a lot of people don't know that. And then also, I did a lot of investigating on the fit. I really wanted to get the fit right for my shoes. And as a designer, we get to dictate how they feel. We get to
Oh,
specify our molds for our shoes, and whether or not it will be a tight fit or a relaxed fit. There's something called a strong foot in Italy, where you
mm.
have a little bit more room, your toes get to breathe. And then there's also the European slender fit and all that. So I really did a lot of investigating on that. And I was really also a champion for having a range of shoe sizes. I think that everyone should be able to find a fabulous pair of shoes that fit them well and that they feel good about.
Absolutely. I echo that sentiment exactly. But I also love your saying that you feel that women should dress from the shoes up. So I'm like, here on that one.
Absolutely. It's your foundation,
Yes.
right? You don't
Yes.
build a house starting with the roof. You build a house starting with a great foundation. It's
Mhm.
it's it's required, right?
It is
Um,
required.
and again, if you're standing in front of a room and you have some shoes on and your feet are killing you, or, it's not something that you feel confident in, it can affect your presentation. It can affect how you show up. So I believe in starting with a foundation of shoes.
And we love our foundation of shoes. Well, I just want to reiterate that it's an honor to interview you. And it's interesting that trade is global. However, in spite of that, we still deal with racism and unconscious bias in this nation and many other parts of the world. So, as
Mhm.
one of the few African Americans in the field of fashion design, what was your experience? I know you shared a little bit on your site with you breaking into it, whether it be in the school or just abroad.
Yeah, that was very challenging. First of all, I'd like to say it's challenging to be an entrepreneur, period, because it is a solo journey, right? In addition to that, I entered into a space where there were not a lot of people that look like me. And when I mean that, is just, for me being African American and also for me being a woman. The women's shoe industry is dominated by white men, right? So I did have to break into that. I kind of I kept it positive though, and I think that that really helped me a lot in the process. I also think that being so unique did help eventually because people remembered me when it came to networking,
Oh,
right?
that's true. That's right.
Yeah.
You stand out. Let's keep it real.
Right. So I turned lemons into lemonade, right? And
Right.
so there were trade shows that would happen every year. And, I would go and meet the suppliers and factories and tanneries and always share my card and go back to those same people every season and say hello. And they remembered me. And what that did, and one of the things that's key in Italy, is that in order to get into a good factory, you have to be introduced. You have to
Oh.
know someone that introduces you, right?
Mm.
And so after a while, I got to know these people within the industry because they all know each other in certain regions. And I was introduced to like an amazing factory. And that's how it happened. So, when I tell you I turned lemons into lemonade and I turned lemonade out of lemons. I made lemonade out of
Right.
lemons. I really did because it could have been something that I could have really just internalized and, let it kind of get to me that I was one of the few. But I really kept pushing because I was so passionate about it. And it ultimately really helped me launch my brand.
Well, as an exceptional designer yourself, I say, do tell, who are some of your favorite, or are there any favorite fashion designers whose style you admire?
When I was younger, I used to read a lot about, the European designers. I didn't know of any designers who were African American at the time. So I always just admired Chanel,
Mm.
the Chanel brand and what it stood for and how it gave, how her mission was to give confidence to women. She developed the first pantsuit, and that was just like a communication that, look, women can, have professions and lead, businesses and so forth. So I really love that about her brand. I also really admire some unsung African American designers, such as Anne Lowe, who designed for Jackie Kennedy
Mm.
Onassis.
Loved her.
Um, yeah, I mean, she was couture quality. Without the recognition, we're just starting to learn about her, and I just love her work. I also, love several other designers. So, yeah.
Well, that's good to know because we all we all glean from inspiration, as they say. You get inspiration a lot. So
Right.
I know you already covered this, but I just want to make sure. I know, of course, we all can't afford every piece, every high end piece. But however, what would you recommend for women? I think you touched on it earlier, but specifically that are must haves in their closet.
Well, first of all, a statement pair of boots. Right?
Okay.
And a statement pair that if you can only get one boot, get one that has a black base and a lot of colors in it. So that way you have different options on how to wear it. And it's okay if you wear them, frequently, just wear them differently. And think of creative ways to do that. So I would also say, just in terms of clothing, having a great black base in your closet with various jackets, a pair of statement boots, and you can do a lot of things in terms of jewelry to find different looks.
Well, that right there is something that we can pick up on. So, when you studied abroad in Paris, May, I read about May on your website. She
Mhm.
was a woman who took you under her wings. Inspired by her, you recently launched the Bronze Suite Tours to introduce the craftsmanship and excellence of luxury to those interested in fashion. So I attended that, as you know, I attended that by way of an introduction through Coretta, and of course,
Mhm.
your assistant sent me the link. But I want to know, because it's beautiful, by the way. You all have
Thank
got to
you.
go to her website, bronzesuite.com. Bronzesuite.com. You have two trips coming up. I know one
Yes.
is, I'm gonna let you talk about it, but I remember one was Italy. But just tell us what they can expect and the two trips you have coming up.
Right. So, I launched the Bronze Suite based on an experience I had while I was a student at Spelman. I studied abroad in Paris because I was, into fashion. Just happened to stay with a woman who was just the ultimate fashionista and very passionate about dress and designer clothing and so forth. And during that process, every weekend she would take me to really understand quality. It wasn't about just, seeing a brand name just because it was a brand name. It was really about, she took me to see the intricate lace work that was done by French people and the bead work and all of the, major brands, the people that work for them. And I just feel like, here in the US, a lot of people don't get to see that, right? We see a lot of luxury brands from a commercial point of view. We see the fantasy, right? We get the fantasy and then we make our decisions on what to purchase. And even for my brand, I think that I've always been a proponent of sharing the quality, and it's always been about quality and craftsmanship. So I want to bring other people into these spaces that I've been going to, year after year, many times a year, to see the behind the scenes of how these luxury products are actually made and have those experiences that are up close. So in September, we're taking a group on a tour called Cement Bronze, which means Bronze Week. And it's during Fashion Week in Paris. We have a week long of curated activities that we're going to participate in. And we're going to top it off with attending a Paris Fashion Week fashion show. So we're really excited about that. And then my other tour is called Arluso. That is where I'm going to actually take a group of people to Italy for a behind the scenes tour of where my shoes are made. There's a little town where a lot of well-known luxury brands are made. And there are factories all around, all of the suppliers are there. We're actually going to tour a Chanel factory in that area, and I'm also going to give a brand presentation in addition to going to Milan and Lake Como. So that's what really the Bronze Suite is about, in addition to fashion consulting, because we're also passionate about helping others get into the luxury space. And, we consult with people on their products, from handbags to shoes to clothing, We did jewelry for a client, and we helped them from the design process to the manufacturing to the business consulting end of it. So I'm just very proud of this new venture, and just looking forward to designing more and also working in the Bronze Suite.
I was amazed, first of all, by it works with what you're doing. It's not something
Mhm,
totally different. I love how you
mhm,
bridge in the beautiful scenery, the travel, but in key places where the artisans are. And then you're
mhm.
bridging it by helping others in the arena of offering consulting for fashion. So, in addition to the tours, are you working on any upcoming future projects?
Well, we're looking to do some programming within the United States as well, and so more to come on that. We're just passionate about the luxury space, so just expect some more luxury events from us, some more exciting events.
Excellent. So before I bring in the girlfriends, we're not girlfriendy if we don't talk about what you like to do, because girlfriends have to decompress. We have to
Mm.
enjoy ourselves. So in addition, I know you love your career, but what are your favorite pastimes? What does Tori like doing?
I really love languages. Learning
Mm.
foreign languages is a passion of mine. I like to challenge myself by watching foreign films and so forth. My languages right now that I'm studying are French and Italian. Actually, I'm fluent in French, but I'm keeping it up through watching films and so forth. I'm also studying Italian. I've also been drawing lately, doing some fine artwork. I find it very relaxing. And it's another creative outlet. It's really stimulating to me and provoking about, just staying open as an artist, because sometimes we can really travel down a narrow path and start applying rules to what we produce, and it just opens up this freedom for me. It's like an exercise, a creative exercise for me.
I have enjoyed this space with you. You're very calming, very, of course, classy, all of that. And all of my guests are exceptional, but these are the characteristics that I see in you, which fits what you do. It fits what you
Thank
do.
you.
I just love
Thank
it. So I'm
you.
going to bring in girlfriend Tori and girlfriend Jessica. So this is a family affair here. And I am going to let them ask you a question or make a comment. So you go first, Tori.
Okay. All right. Awesome. It was so, first of all, just your story is incredible and super inspiring. Got my wheels turning, with some other things.
Mhm.
Wanted to ask you, so I love that you mentioned Anne Lowe. It's Black History Month. And so I
Mhm.
was challenging my students, like even with knowing about her, because a lot of times people don't really know. So I love that you shared that. But also, I was thinking about Tracy Reese and how
Mhm.
she had to have her parents basically mortgage their house to help her get her first collection in New York Fashion Week. So I was wondering, with you in the luxury space, is that something that you want to do, is be in those fashion weeks? Have you done that, where you're design, or where you're collabing with other luxury designers?
Yeah, my journey in the fashion space, and I've done this purposefully, is to not follow the traditional fashion rules, because
I
there
love that.
are rules, right? And
Mhm,
as a creative, I found that very restrictive. One
mhm,
of the things that I found very liberating is that I sell my products directly to my customers, right? That gives me just a lot of freedom in how I present my collections, when I present, when I design. I do things that make sense for my brand. And to me, it's all about my customers and connecting with them. We're connecting through our tours as well.
mhm,
But it's all about the customers. And I find I also have a degree in finance. So
mhm,
I always look at the numbers as well. And I think that it's so hard to finance your business already, right?
mhm.
And if you follow all of these rules, you can spend a lot of money that you don't get a return on. And I think, while Fashion Week is great, it's great publicity, you know, I don't see the appropriate return in order to keep moving forward. And that's really the key. If you don't have a large investor investing in your brand, you have to make decisions that give you a return so you can continue to exist. So no, I haven't done Fashion Week in New York. Maybe one day I will, but for right now, it just hasn't been in the plans.
Yeah. I love that. And wow, you just, I'm a believer. And so I truly believe just hearing you say that was just confirmation on me battling with, I don't want to follow that rule and I don't like that
Right.
rule. And so just hearing your story and your journey, that just gives me confirmation. And I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're very welcome. I think it's really important to focus on the product, number one, and number two, connecting your product to your customer. And if you do those two things, the rest will follow. But it's a distraction to spread resources to all these things that don't ultimately benefit you connecting to your customer or producing your creations.
Yeah. Excellent. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Awesome
You're
sauce.
welcome.
So, girlfriend Jessica, what question or comment do you have for our guest Tori?
Thank you, Sabrina, for the time and also the space. I'm just thoroughly impressed, and it's a pleasure and a privilege. So appreciate y'all for having me as well with y'all today. Miss Tori, I would ask. Well, I was just blown away by your story, and then even tapping in a little bit to the sites as we were going through the interview. I would like to ask, what was, because of course, us as Black women, it's Black History Month. From you living your life, like, what was your hard, like, because they always say choose your heart, but what was your biggest and greatest heart that you decided to choose, push through, and then also the biggest impact from choosing that?
When you say hard, the hard thing that I endured in launching my brand? Well, all of it was hard. I think the hardest thing was actually choosing a product that, shoes aren't really made in the US. And so in deciding to become a shoe designer, I was ultimately deciding to go abroad somewhere and produce my line. That was just really challenging. There was the language barrier. There was trying to understand the way businesses are operated in Italy, and it's different from the US. There's a challenge with the currency exchange. So that process was just really, really hard. But ultimately, I mean, all of it was hard. For me, it was really just my desire to do it and also what it could mean for others, right? Because I think that if I can show people that this is possible, you can actually do this hard thing that other people will just appreciate that and maybe move forward with something that's been burning in their soul. And so I think that has been a difficult journey, just working with another country and producing my brand.
Thank you.
Well,
Mhm.
Tori, this has been excellent. Girlfriends, I want to thank you for joining us. And we know what we do at the end of every interview. We give the chant to say that you're officially a girlfriend, Tori. So we say to you, girlfriend, girlfriend, your girlfriend. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so very much. It's been an honor to have you here with us. And I'm going to make sure that I let the viewers know how they can reach you. And it's here, info@torisudan.com. So info@torisudan.com. Tori, again, I will be following you, keeping up with you. But we want to thank you for joining us. And everyone, follow her, and just get some advice from her. And if you can, get yourself a nice piece. Thank you so much, Tori, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. All right.